Before the Hundred Years' War and before the Aureole Revolution, an ancient civilization coexisted with the gods. One of these deities, the sky goddess Aidios, bestowed 7 treasures upon this ancient civilization, later referred to as the Sept Terrions, and the civilization was divided based on their allegiance to one of the 7. Among these treasures existed the Aureole, or the Shining Ring, which had complete authority and power over space. With this power, the clan leaders wished to use the Aureole to escape the confines of the earth, and thus were granted a floating city, a literal paradise for its inhabitants known as the Liber Ark. Within the city, technological marvels, at least in the eyes of modern Zemuria, were plentiful, with high-speed monorails at every corner and industrial hubs that created anything from clothes to food and medicine, all powered by a grand pillar that stood at the centre of the Ark, reaching hundreds of argae into the sky. However, the true comfort for humans came in the form of Gospels, small black orbments which could be utilised to access the Aureole's power and thus grant wishes. Due to the sheer amount of human desires, the Aureole created a higher dimension of existence which would act as a processor of the citizens' thoughts and hopes. This was known as Phantasma, and was a key functional pivot of the Aureole's power. Though the Aureole acted passively to the behest of the citizens for a time, it eventually gained autonomy and started to grant gifts rather than take them, believing that it had the ability to give humanity its true desires. With the Aureole's autonomy, it started to create virtual realities that adhered to what it thought the people of the Ark desired, streaming them with constant euphoric hallucinations. After a time, humans became more and more reliant on the Aureole's power, and as a result, all sense of progress and moral was lost. Riots began to increase, and crimes were no longer uncommon, as people started to use the Aureole's wish-granting powers to harm their fellow citizens, either through spite or envy. Realising the degradation of the population, the clan leader Celeste Auslais committed herself to sealing away the Liber Ark and by extension the Aureole. Knowing that the Sept Terrion could now think for itself, simply wishing for it to cease its operation was no longer an option, and the only way forward was to physically sever the Aureole's connection to time and space. To do this, a 2-layered sealing mechanism was devised, which in itself required a large amount of power. As such, Celeste and her followers had to resort to areas in the land where septium veins were at their most plentiful, and begun building 4 great towers at the peak energy points which would act as the gravity barrier. This would prevent the Ark escaping its dimensional prison should the first seal fail. The Aureole, however, realised this, and sought to defend itself and the Ark from what it perceived as a threat. Celeste, however, was able to fool the Aureole into believing that the towers were simply to be used as monitoring devices for the septium veins, but as such was forced to create the second seal far below the surface, under what would later be known as Grand Cell Castle. The so-called sealed area was a facility that would act as a medium for the first barrier, the temporal freeze, but as the facility was nearing completion, one of Celeste's followers disclosed the plan and whereabouts of the facility to the Aureole. Luckily for Celeste, this follower only knew of the purpose of the underground facility, thus the Sept Terrion only sought to destroy the sealed area rather than aim for the pillars. It did this by unleashing its own self-defense archaisms, reveries, which attacked the area at full force. Although Celeste and her forces were able to hold off the vast majority, one reverie managed to get to the depths of the facility. However, before it could foil the sealing plan, the first seal activated, locking away the Liber Ark and Aureole and all Gospels along with it. For the next millennia, the Liber Ark escaped from all memory, and the land of Liber was founded in its wake. It wasn't until a coup devised by Alan Richard in 1202 of the Septium calendar that the first seal was eventually lifted, revealing the reverie that had fought its way to the depths all those years prior, a coup that later was found to be a part of the Gospel plan. The Society of Ouroboros were in the final stages of a plan to attain the Aureole, knowing that first they had to bring the Liber Ark back to the world. Utilising replica Gospels developed by George Weissman, the Ark was finally called back from its prison and took its place in the skies above Valeria Lake, causing a nationwide orbital shutdown due to the Ark's self-defense mechanisms. With the Ark now returned, the Society looked to seize the Aureole for the Grand Master's ultimate plan, but were confronted by Estelle, Joshua and the other heroes aboard the Arcee. Realising that the plan was in jeopardy, Weissman descended to the depths of the Axis Pillar where he later fused with the all-powerful Aureole. After being defeated in a drawn-out battle by Estelle, Joshua and co., Weissman escaped with the Aureole to another area of the city where he eventually was killed by Kevin Graham. However, before the Fifth Dominion could take the Aureole under the jurisdiction of the Grausritter, Enforcer Zero Campanella appeared and took the Aureole back to Ouroboros' Grand Master. With the power source holding the Ark afloat now lost, the Liber Ark caved in on its own weight, crumbling into the depths of Valeria Lake. The incident known as the Aureole shutdown phenomenon was hidden well from other lands outside of Liber, with many Zemurian citizens knowing of the incident but unaware that the Ark was involved. For the people of Liber, and those that bordered the Ark in particular, the Eden that was created and subsequently destroyed by the Aureole reminds all humans that even in paradise, evil can manifest and thrive. And that is something that would likely never be lost on the Zemurian continent, even as the Ark erodes beneath the waters of Liber. Hello guys, thank you for watching this video. It's a shorter one than normal, but I have a huge vested interest in the Sept Terrions and the Liber Ark by extension, so I felt it would be fun to try making a video on it, and hopefully it's done the subject justice. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and I personally would like to do more lore videos soon, so if you guys have any ideas up till Cold Steel 2, because I haven't played Cold Steel 3 or Cold Steel 4 yet, then I will take those on board and possibly make them into a video. So until next time, I'll see you later.